Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Congrats to those who took a nice sweet long there when the price action broke free from its descending trend line, continued higher. Bitcoin is also looking pretty strong right now. Potential cup and handle pattern playing out here, folks, where we might reject off 100,000, come back down to our local point of control at 97.3 roughly, and then effectively bounce from there. So if that happens, Solana could fulfill a very similar scenario here. I mean, just throwing it out there, we do have a tentative cup here for the moment, and the handle may be continuing or coming soon, especially after rejecting off $200, that resistance level for Solana. So friendly advice in situations like this, sometimes it's best to get some skin in the game right now, and then just a little bit more to adding to your position as the price comes down, and then you're all good to go for the next leg up. That's again, obviously if that happens, but for the most part, we're seeing a lot of signs here as to why altcoins are back on track. I discussed that yesterday with Bitcoin dominance. You can see here that Bitcoin dominance is actually looking very good as it continues to pull back to that low 58% range. While it's still at about the same percent right now, I do speculate we're going to see the price action continue higher for altcoins here soon, especially when traditional markets close for the holiday, all that wonderful stuff. So anyways, that's all kind of that's there. We'll discuss that here shortly. Pull up some liquidation levels first, kind of go from there. Quick congrats to our community here for some awesome profits. Pepe 33%, WIF 34%, and Bitcoin 36%. Those are all trades we took yesterday and Sunday. Just again, with Bitcoin printing a double bottom, it made a lot of sense there to test that support range. With that heavy liquidation level getting swept, it was completely sensible. So if you saw my Bitcoin video from yesterday, you'll know why we took that trade. And obviously, if you're part of our community, I sent out a trade alert for a Bitcoin trade, just kind of letting you know exactly what we're looking for. So it's all there for you. Double bottom, liquidation sweep, RSI balance at 30. Typical things you can trade into. Anyways, the reason why this is all relevant to Solana, I know probably rolling your eyes like, why the heck is this guy talking about Bitcoin? If you missed the boat, perhaps you're just new to the channel. Every single altcoin is reliant solely on Bitcoin's success, or just how it performs, right? And obviously, just how well the coin itself that you're looking to trade performs contrary to Bitcoin, or perhaps even contradictory to it. Like, where does it move? How does it move? How does it respond to that? So those are things we want to look at, which is why liquidation is so important. So we take a look here. We can see this is the last 12 hours. This kind of gives us perspective that, once again, a lot of liquidation at 200 to 190, 198. That's that little resistance range, 197 to 203 effectively, is that little area of resistance. So we can presume until we close over 200 that that's going to continue to work as a stronghold for Solana. We probably won't be able to pass that until, obviously much later. So just some friendly advice, be careful taking along into 200. You may want to wait for it to be bullishly back tested first before taking along. That's usually the best practice. For right now, if you are in a long, consider securing profits. Price may pull back a little bit to its local point of control, which we'll identify here soon. We want to look at the last 7 days. Last 7 days of liquidation here, and kind of get perspective on what that looks like too, because 7-day time frame is actually a pretty good one in most cases. This just kind of reaffirms, yeah, there we go, 200 to 205. A little bit of liquidation left, but nothing super crazy. Kind of normal standard stuff there. Okay. When we look here at liquidation delta, this is what's important, I think, is to, again, not consider trading against the trend, right? The trend right now is higher highs and higher lows. We have more people taking longs than shorts. Why do you take a short into that? Why would you? It doesn't make any sense. If you're going to do anything, you wait for the price to pull back and then take a long. That's just the responsible thing to do. I don't know if you're just the kind of person that likes to run into oncoming traffic, or perhaps you like to swim upstream. There's a lot of strange people out there. Not to say that that's bad. It's just your odds of success, the likelihood of exerting more energy, which in this case here is more money, and losing it. It doesn't make a ton of sense. So just some friendly advice. Even though Solana could pull back, not a good call to do that. We can see open interest here, 186. A lot of folks are pretty heavy here when the price came back down to bullishly backtest that local high. We can see that there pretty clear. And then previous to that, of course, we got some late longs, or sorry, they're actually early longs, but they were late to the party then. That's at 203. Okay, so 203, as I mentioned previously, is kind of the top end of that resistance range for us. That's this red line here, by the way. That's a previous daily candlestick closure. So just know that it's not just I don't just draw lines on the charts for no good reason. We can see we had a lot of resistance back here in March. I know it seems weird that we're in December, and why is March relevant? But the truth is, those levels are just contested, right? So we could have some folks back there that still need to secure profits and they're waiting till it gets back up to 203 to do it. So take a look here at the daily time frame. We can recognize here that we're getting back on track, but we're not free and clear. We're not in good shape yet. Again, to preface and to kind of help you understand that, being below the 20-day SMA in general is unfavorable. That's the first thing you want to look for when identifying a bullish type of trend. So in a perfect world, the price goes kind of like sideways like this here for the next 3 or 4 days. And then come New Year, we're at 200 plus. We're above the descending trend line. We're over the 20-day SMA and even possibly the 50. Those would all be causes for taking along with confidence. Right now, if you take along, it's not to say that I'm not confident in it. Smaller time frames exude much better behavior. It's just that that's temporary and it's not a long-term move or a long-term play, right? It depends on where you're at. You got to really kind of think about what's your risk tolerance or what's your trading strategy. Are you a day trader? Do you like to get in and out of the trades all the time, beat your head against the wall all day long? Or do you want to kind of maybe go with the flow, go with the trend, set it and forget it? That's kind of how I prefer to do it. And again, no discredit to day traders. It's just a lot more work. And if that's your thing, that's all good. But me personally, I don't like to stress at the end of the day. And I have a lot less stress, believe it or not, even though I hold trades overnight. It's kind of a weird thing, I know. But anyways, we got this bounce off 30 on the RSI. Money flow index came off that 20 range. This is generally a good sign to consider buying because you're at a key level support. Again, hindsight's 2020, of course, but buying that dip was advantageous for a lot of folks. And again, 185 has proven to be a solid support range for us. So you just got to recognize that this little red line here is that area. Now that we're back up above it, there's a good chance we're going to be able to maintain that. MACD is trying to converge, but stochastic is converging, which is a good early sign. That runs concurrent with a 4-hour MACD convergence. Stochastic is overextended, of course, because we did see a pretty solid amount of growth. We're up about 12% from where we were at maybe 2 days ago. So that's a pretty solid increase. The key takeaway here is we're over 50 on the RSI. Anytime you see this, folks, that's generally a very positive sign. If you can combine that with being over the 20 and the 50-day SMA, which were over the 20, which is hanging out right at 185, that's awesome. We're still below the 50-day SMA. We're seeing initial rejection there. Keep in mind the SMAs are not resistance levels. They're just kind of trends letting us know that getting above that level helps us understand that we're going to be more likely to continue in that same direction moving forward. But right now we got a 10 of resistance, which makes perfect sense. We've known 197 to 203 has been that resistance range, and we're starting to see that now. All that being said, the 4-hour time frame is mostly bullish, but it's still not completely confirmed, whereas the hourly, of course, is going to exude straight bull town. All right, so there's a lot of bulls having a good time in the hourly time frame. We can see lagging spans free and clear, conversion lines over the baseline, and the cloud itself is looking pretty good. In future reference, it's funny, some folks thought I was saying like some weird word. It's called Ichimoku cloud, just so you know, and it is spelled ICHIMOKU, Ichimoku, okay? In case you're not familiar, I have an instructional video on how to use it correctly, but it's a phenomenal indicator, works very well. And yes, it's giving us all confirming factors here that a long position makes more sense. Now, taking along right now at the top, just because this is confirming, doesn't necessarily mean it's sensible, right? That's exactly why you use a lot of different time frames and less, of course, not too many, but some other moving averages and some other indicators, because you want to understand what the trend is. We've identified the macro trend is still not favorable, but the short-term trend is looking good. We're just trending into a resistance. So it makes tons of sense that the price is going to reject out at 197 to 203 here soon. And to potentially, again, I kind of drew this out earlier. It's not a guarantee, but we're looking like we're probably likely to see this cup and handle play out, folks. There's a good chance of that. And a lot of times what happens is the cup and handle will just work itself into a descending type of trend, like a bull flag, and it'll continue higher after the bears had their chance to secure the profits. Right? That's really all that's happening. So again, this is no guarantee, strictly speculation. You don't trade based on speculative patterns. You trade on the overall situation here. Taking it along into a resistance range doesn't make a ton of sense, but shorting a nice, good uptrend with the whole entire market looking pretty favorable right now also makes very little sense too, okay? So what else makes sense there? Well, to likely try to take along with the local high, right? And that's generally this guy here. As a rough estimate, the local high for us is 193. We've talked about that number in the past, actually. So 193 makes sense. Again, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attempts to break that level, and it did, okay? So more often than not, you're going to see that level get retested. It could be one of these here. But for the most part, strong, good continuation here. Likelihood of further upside is greater. Just know 197 to 203 is not going to be a walk in the park. We're going to need some volume to get through that. Okay. All right, folks, that's kind of where we're at. I'll post a playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you're not familiar. Join us over at Bitunix too, folks. Link down below. Phenomenal exchange. This deposit bonus is only available this month. Next month, we'll probably have a trading competition. We do so every other month or so. So it'd be kind of cool to start off the new year with that. Okay. I hope that you learned something today. Deeply appreciate it. Feel free to comment below. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Take care.